Hey everybody, this is Jimmy Bell, and I am your host for another episode of Beyond the Strings, right here at RHCTV Studios. And I am very grateful that the holidays are over and it's freezing outside, but I am so excited to have my longtime friend, International Sales Manager for GHS Strings, Mr. Greg Orred. How are you, buddy?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, this is great. Now, Greg, be perfectly honest with you, I've been using GHS strings all of my life, way before I even knew you.
Yes.
And I always found them to be the greatest string there is. I know there's, a lot of people have their own preference. You have, Ernie Ball, Diodario, Elixir, all kinds of different strings. But I know so many people that have always gravitated towards the GHS string and the company. And I don't use the string because I'm endorsed by them. It's because I love them. And I've been using the same gauge, 10 to 46, all my life. And, I just was so happy to meet you when I found out you used GHS. You were the rep for GHS strings. I went, oh my God, I've been using that all my life. So tell me how you became the rep.
Well, you had your cousin David Bell here last week.
Oh, yeah.
I worked with him at Ovation Guitars years ago, and when I left them, I joined GHS Strings as the international sales manager. And, we kind of knew each other then, but once we established the relationship with GHS Strings, then we started spending a lot more time together, going to shows and things like that.
Yeah, I remember when the first times he had brought you out, and I think it was a place that was right down the road from you in Simsbury. You came out to see me, and
yes,
or Avon. It was one, something like that.
Gemini's, I think it was.
Yeah. And right after that, I got in the mail about 6 packs of strings you had sent him. I was beyond grateful, and of course, our relationship had built on to so many other things after that. Yep. But I'll tell you a funny story. Now, obviously, let me see a pack of the GHS boomers. So, I've used this string right here, GHS boomers, 10 to 46 gauge, all of my life. And when I was on tour going up through Canada, I had to go up and do some recording at Les Studio, where Rush did, a lot of their albums, and Blackmore and many, many other famous artists. Crossing into the border, we were going late at night, me and a drummer buddy. And of course, they separated us. There wasn't like a nice smooth sailing into the border, So they had us in different rooms, and they went through my suitcase, and inside my suitcase, I had like 25 sets of GHS boomers. So they brought me into this special room to ask if they went boom.
Jeez.
do these things go boom? And I said, only when you play them, they go boom. I said,
that's
so
great.
I thought that was a pretty funny story.
I figured they'd probably think you were reselling them, so I'm glad that we didn't get nicked for that. So
yeah, they didn't even question that. Tell us about GHS Strings and the company and everything.
Well, we were established in the 1960s, and the current owners bought the company in the 70s, early 70s, and there's still the same people there that started back then. And it's a great family business, and it's a great company to work for. We make all kinds of strings, different things for basses and mandolin, banjo, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, resonator, and on and on. We even make upright bass strings now.
You do?
We do, yeah. And
I played upright bass in school.
Do you have one?
No,
I'd like to see you put one in your car right these days. They're so...
My mom used to load it into my car. Well, that's cool. I mean, every single instrument, maybe with the exception of violins or something. I mean,
right. We don't make a violin.
Viola,
classical type instrument strings, piano strings. And
but you do now? Does GHS do a classical string?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
So you have many endorsers. Your website has so many famous artists that use the strings, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And I know, I really appreciate you taking the time doing this, because I know within a week or so you're on your way to California to the NAMM show.
That's correct. Yeah.
And Greg usually mans the booth there, and along with other associates
Yep.
of GHS Strings. And I've actually have the privilege of, even though I'm not there, I get to see myself on the screen, because they run videos of artists playing things. So it's really, really cool. Let's talk about the different strings.
Sure.
Like, for example, I know a lot of jazz players are, really heavy-duty jazz cats will use like a flat wound string for their guitar.
That's right.
What is a flat wound string?
Well, flat wound string is a string that has been, like it says, flattened to get a real smooth feel, and what that does is kind of creates more of a mellow, I would say darker tone, but it's a little darker kind of tone, and it works well for very fluid, quick runs that jazz players tend to do, and it fills that tonal spectrum that they're looking for when you're playing jazz music.
I think
it's a very smooth feel on the fingers too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll find that a lot of the jazz players that use flat wound strings, they're actually playing a big jazz box with only a pickup up by the neck anyway,
Yeah.
So they're really looking for that particular type sound.
Yeah, that tone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but the same applies for a bass. So a lot of people use round wound strings for the bass, and but do you also make a flat wound string for a bass?
We do. I have it right here, precision flats, and that produces the same kind of tone, just in the bass spectrum.
Now, would a bass player that uses flats, would he use that on a fretless bass?
You could, but you can use it on a fretted bass as well.
Oh, you could?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
And going back to guitar, we also have semi-flat. So it's not completely flat like a flat wound. It's just kind of got a little flat on it, and that is a little bit brighter than a completely flat string.
Well, tell me about the different materials, I guess.
Sure, we use all sorts of kinds of phosphor bronze and bronze for acoustic, brass-plated core wires on some of our acoustics. On electrics, we use nickel-plated steel, stainless steel. We have a bunch of alloys that we use as well. On bass, it's mostly nickel-plated steel. Again, we also have stainless steel there as well. And then there's a bunch of different ways you can make them by putting the core wires under different pressures, tightly wrapping and double wrapping and things like that. There's a lot of different things you can do to a string.
With so many different strings available to an artist, I wonder how they decide what they want to use. I mean, I'm easy. I'm old school.
Yeah.
I've been using the same string since I can't even tell you how long. So, I mean, for me to say, okay, I'm going to try a half wound now, it's like it
Don't
wouldn't
even know
make
what
any
that is,
sense.
right?
Yeah, it's like, why am I doing that? But also now, besides
It's experimentation. I think a lot of people just like, I'm looking for a brighter sound, so you'll try a different material. I'm looking for like a darker sound, they'll try a different
what was
kind
the
of,
GHS?
or a heavier or
what
lighter.
was the one that was in the black pack? Was that the nickel strings? There was one that the packaging was black and it had,
Well, if it was the electric guitar strings, we just recently updated our package from the black to the red.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same strings. Just
Oh,
an
okay.
update. Now this particular set is actually really interesting. This is a 9.5 to 44. Most electric guitar sets are either 9 to 42 or 10 to 46.
I was just going to go into this.
I personally use the 9.5 to 44 because I find the 10 to 46 being a little heavy and the 9 to 42 being a little light, but I use 9.5 to 44 on all my guitars, ones with Floyd Roses and one with fixed bridges. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. It provides a little bit of that heavier tension, but it's light enough to do all the bends and the quick runs and things like that. So
I've always liked the 10 gauge, but I know there's people out there that like my friend Greg, he loves 8s. I don't ever think I've ever tried a set of 8s.
They're
before.
really, really light. We also make 8.5s, so and we make 10.5s too. So I think I did send Greg some 8.5s. So I know you were trying to get him to play
Yeah, it's one
heavier
of those
gauge strings.
Yeah, it's like, but he uses
Yeah.
the scalp neck. I'm having
Yeah.
Greg on the show pretty soon, and I'm gonna really get on
Get him?
about
Yeah.
hit him on that.
Sure.
Just for a second, I want to take a quick break, and we are going to do another segment of Inside the Gig Bag. We'll be right back to you. Everybody, this is Jimmy Bell. Welcome to another segment of Inside the Gig Bag. And I am thrilled to be here today. I want to tell you about this guitar right here. This was my very, very first Kramer guitar that I got back in the early 80s. I'll tell you a little history of it. It was presented to me from the company. And what this has on it is a Floyd Rose tremolo. Now, I had met Floyd Rose back in the day, and he heard me play, and he said, you really should be an endorser of Kramer, and I'm going to talk to the president. So he did, and the next thing you know, the president, Dennis Berardi, had come down to the store, and he approached me and said, I understand I owe you an endorsement. I said, you got to understand, Kramer Guitars were the biggest company in the world at the time. They had Eddie Van Halen as their main guy, so everybody was after Kramer guitars. I mean, people were selling their Gibson Les Pauls for cheap money just to get one of these. And now I'm sure they're, kicking themselves for doing that. But, back in the day, this was just the most amazing guitar. So this guitar has been all over the world with me. I have had this from the very beginning, and this one actually appears in the movie Light of Day with Michael J. Fox and Joan Jett. I had gotten a letter from, not a letter, an email from a fan named Jason, and he asked if I still had this Kramer guitar that was in the movie. So that's another reason I wanted to bring it down and show everybody. This guitar also was the one I used when I auditioned with Ozzy back in 1986. And, they had 500 people that went for that, and it got down between me and Zakk Wylde. And then I ended up in England with the bassist from Black Sabbath, Geezer Butler, and I used this guitar over there. This thing flew, and they wouldn't let me bring it on the plane back then, so they actually went in the cargo in just a gig bag, which was amazing that nothing happened to it. That just goes to show you how it's built like a tank. But, this thing just always was an amazing guitar, played incredible. I want to tell you a little bit about the tremolo here. So, like I said, Floyd Rose invented this. This is his stuff. The reason you could do all of this and you hear how that came back in perfect tune. Well, all that has to do with the locking system. So up here, we have a locking nut, and that locks down all 6 of the strings. It's in groups of 2. So you have 3 locking nuts. And down here, you cut the ball ends of the strings off, you insert them into these saddles, and you tighten them here, and a little clamp here goes right against each string. So that's what keeps this thing in perfect tune. So when I got this guitar, I was used to playing like Flying V guitars or Explorer shape, a guitar that's in the shape of a V. I'm sure you've seen it before. So I got used to resting my arm on the Flying V part, the V, and that's how I was able to pick. Well, when I got this guitar, it has this, bevel right here, and between the Floyd Rose was setting up and sitting up and all that, I was having such a difficult time playing the guitar, and I did not want to not play it, so I had to come up with a way to level this piece off here. So a buddy of mine who was a luthier said, why don't we just, screw a piece of plexiglass on there and that'll, level your arm the way you want it. So I've had so many people throughout the years ask me about this. I've even had people, believe it or not, have somebody install this on their guitar thinking it was going to help their picking hand. And, I feel bad for them because basically they destroyed their guitar by doing it. But this is, something that I needed, and I had to put it on every guitar that had that type of, top contour. But yeah, this guitar has been everywhere, all over the world. It's built like a tank. And I will tell you one other funny story before I go. I had, a bunch of Kramers. They'd given me, like 15 of them after I got the endorsement. And one time I was playing a show, and there was a problem with the lighting truss or something, and I had a spare Kramer up there on the stage. And I guess whoever ran up to fix it knocked the guitar over, must have stepped on the guitar and broke the headstock off. Well, they kept the guitar away from me for the entire show, and luckily I didn't break a string where I didn't need it. I go back and they bring it into the dressing room and the guitar is flopping like this, the headstock, but it was in perfect tune because it was locked here, and that's the whole thing with these things. You could go nuts on them. Anyways, I just wanted to share a little bit of history of this guitar. As I said, it's been everywhere with me, and I've managed to still hang on to this very one. Thanks for watching another segment of Inside the Gig Bag. I'm here with my good friend Greg Orred. We're back. So let's talk about some different packaging here that you are offering now for GHS strings. This thing right here, I love. This box.
Yes, this box is a brand new box. It's a 12-pack. So it's basically something you can keep on the workbench, or if you want, you can take it on the road with you too. But when you open it up, all the strings are kind of set up there that you would need.
See, this is just amazing. Yeah. See, this is like, so it's how many sets inside that box?
12 sets.
12 sets.
So there'll be, in this case, 12 of the 10s, all the way up to 12 of the 46s.
So that makes, this would be an incredible, if you're a luthier and you're repairing guitars, this is a great thing to have for sitting on your bench.
Or if you're a player like you that have, probably 4 or 5 guitars you're using on a regular basis, you got right on the bench. It's easy to open up and just take the strings you need.
Well, I do, matter of fact, and sometimes the only time I change my strings is when I'm, going out to do a gig. So a lot of times when I'm practicing, I might break a string, and usually if I break a string, I try to find something old to throw on because I know I'm going to change the strings eventually. I hate to waste it, but this is perfect, for that. You also sell the other one that I really love is the 6-pack, the multi-pack that you...
Yes, we have 6-packs and 3-packs and 4-packs, but...
Oh, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. The 3-packs and 4-packs will just be actually, 3 packs of packaged strings, where the 6-pack will be individually packaged like this.
Well, Greg,
there's another thing I actually wanted to talk about was this particular package. This is the Nitro pack. So
okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this is one of the biggest innovations that we've come out with in quite a while. The strings are actually packaged in nitrogen. So after we coil the strings, this package is blown open with nitrogen. We insert the string in there and then close it. So there's no oxygen inside of here. So technically, this string would last 10, 15, 20 years without showing any signs of oxidation or degrading at all.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that. And here I have these in all. Now, is that also, that's also in
all
the same
those,
thing?
Yep.
All the
I would say
packaging?
we are working to get all of our strings in there right now. I would say 90% of our guitar strings are packaged in this. The bass strings are not packaged in it. We don't have the big enough package machine yet to do that, but it's something that we're looking at in the future.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Show me some of the other products that GHS offers before we move on.
Yeah, so this is one of our best-selling products. It's called the Fast Fret. I'll give this to you. You can keep it to try out.
I am. So tell me what I do with this.
Yeah, so you open it up and try and get it open here. Has a cloth,
it has a nice
included cloth. You can take the top off of this and you apply it to the strings like so. and that will help keep them clean. Also loosens them up a little bit. So if you had an old set of strings on your guitar and they just feel like a little tight, you can put this on there, loosens it up.
Oh, okay.
And then you wipe off the excess with the cloth. Now some artists and some people that we work with have actually put it on the back of the neck as well, just to provide a smoother,
that's what I was asking,
feel.
I was just talking to you about how I put baby powder on my hands.
Yeah.
And obviously something other than white baby powder, because I wear total black on stage, would be a great thing to have, because I can't tell you how many photos I have of me where I see white handprints on right here because I only put it on this hand, and then I'm playing, I must touch here or something, so it's always a nightmare. But yeah, this is incredible. I highly recommend GHS strings to every guitar player that's out there. I know a lot of people have their preferences. I obviously can't tell you what to use. I'm just letting you know personally, I've been using them all of my life, and I absolutely love them. But now, we're going to move on to something special. So, I go up to Greg's house. He lives kind of close, and whenever
I think you came up to get strings.
Yeah, I would come up to get strings, and hold me 1 second. I came up to get strings, and a few years back, I had done something stupid. I broke my hand, and the details aren't important, but I broke my hand. So I had popped this knuckle down, and this is my fretboard hand. I had popped it back, and so when I went to the hand doctor that I've been using still, he told me to grab a hold of a chair, and he pulled that knuckle back in. But I had a half cast on for a while, and I only had these 2 fingers available. But I still, practiced with 2 fingers because I'm like that. But when I got the cast off, now there's all these other inventions out there that for exercises for your hands. And, I tried a couple of them. They were spring tension, and I was using them, and every time I got done, my hand felt really tight. And I said, this isn't what my hand feels like after I play guitar for hours, My hand's normally, nice, loose, everything. So I said to a gentleman at my store, he was repairing some guitars. I said, can you make me a half neck, something with real strings on it and tuners, just so I could run my fingers on a real fretboard, and pull on them, just to get my hand back in shape. So he came back with this, and this is the very first prototype of what became Greg and
Shredneck. Yeah.
Greg, our partnership in the Shredneck company. So I was up at Greg's house picking up stuff, and he's a marketing genius on many things, and I'm not just saying that because he's sitting here. But this is what he does all day, and he comes out, brings me strings. He looks at my car. He goes, "What's that?" And I said, "This is something I invented. I'm trying to get my." I want to loosen my hand up, keep using real strings.
You also told me you wanted to be able to play all the time.
I wanted to be able to play all the time, yeah.
Practice all the time.
Yeah, well, I wasn't supposed to say that because I'm driving a car. I'm supposed to have both hands on the wheel.
Don't use it while you're driving.
Oh, we can't say that. But it was a way for me to play guitar even when a guitar wasn't available. So I had this, and, Greg picks it up, looking it all over, and we're checking things out. And originally, I had it like this. So it was set up like a little piece of a guitar neck, wider down here, narrow here, and then to the tuners. And I wanted the tuners on here just for tension alone, because you can't tune this up the pitch to play it, obviously. This is an exercise tool. It's like working out with weights. It's, anything you want to do to limber up your hands. So I was holding it like this, not driving, but I was holding it like this, and it just kept going like this. It was top heavy. So we talked it over and said, why don't we reverse it? We'll make this part wider, narrow up here, and make the headstock like that. So, that being said, we had ended up coming up with this sort of design. Now, this is obviously a later one. Let's show them the first prototype.
So, my part of the story is I had just come back from traveling in Japan, and I was sitting on trains traveling around the country, and I was thinking the same thing. I wish I had something just small that I could keep in my briefcase that I could just practice.
You told me that when you saw this.
And so you're telling me about some concerts that you were playing, and all I could think of was I'm just looking at this thing sitting in your car going, what is this, you know? And so
I can't believe this guy thought of this.
And it was like it is now. It was cold. So you and I both got excited about this, and before you know it, I think you were there all day.
Yeah.
We broke out the table saw, and we ended up making this first model. It's made out of pine.
Yeah,
but this is the very first prototype we made. We used a nice piece of mahogany that I got from scrap from the Ovation factory. I just been sitting, and we made I don't even know where we got the frets. I think we probably pulled the frets off of some cheap guitar. These are real shallow tuners. We may take this off and use them on another guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
But then we made the neck a little too narrow because we were trying to get the profile right. But this ended up being the very first one we made.
This brings back so many memories of doing this. So, I mean, we did this. And then the next thing you know...
we made another one. So that one was we ended up buying some parts from Stu McDonald, Stu Mack, and made another one. And then we sent that off to a factory that I know in China. And then they sent us back this one.
Yeah.
Now this one, I think, is strung up left-handed. So you can...
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, it is strung up left-handed.
It came up strung up for you, for left-handed.
Yeah, that's the other thing. These are... Either way, a righty, a lefty is not...
Because you can't tune them, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They can be adjusted for either way.
I mean, how many pictures have we seen people, they pick it up like this automatically. It's natural because you think it's supposed to be like that. But if you look at it and see that it's narrowed down here and it gets wider towards here, and what this part is for right there is for resting on your knee.
Keep it from sliding off.
Keep it from sliding off, and you could just like sit there and pretend you're driving a car or, anything. This is...
So we made another sample after we saw this one and sent it back to the factory because we wanted to make a few adjustments. We wanted...
Well, hold on. Before that, we had to come up with a name.
Yeah.
We had to patent it. So we just... I don't know if it was me or you. I think it could have been...
it was you. You came up with it.
It came up with Shredneck, because shredding is a term on the guitar. So, and this was a little neck. He said, how about the Shredneck?
Redneck. It was like...
Redneck. I said I wanted to come up with something that
means what it is. It means what it is. Like Kleenex, people, it's Kleenex is, it could be facial tissue, but everybody, hey, give me some Kleenex. Shredneck. It means what it is. So we sent another one back, and we started the patent process as well.
Right.
And the factory sent us this one.
That wasn't cheap.
No, that wasn't cheap. The factory sent us this one back. Now it's painted and lacquered, and this is when we first saw a real opportunity to make this a product that we could sell. And it had, ended up doing all sorts of different kinds with, like, this one's, USA flag. This is just a prototype we made. And you got a bunch of pink ones and blue ones.
You even made ones for airplane type models too.
Yeah, we did the P-51.
P-51.
That one was really cool. We did basses. We did classical. Next, we have some that we even tried to make.
I believe I still have a classical one.
Yeah.
But the Shredneck, so we wanted an acoustic version as well. We said, well, this is great. But I'm sure, like the acoustic player might want one with bronze strings on it. So we ended up making it a bit more classy. We went with the gold hardware,
and the inlays, the more acoustic-looking inlays.
Yeah. And that one we called the Shredneck.
Dreadnought.
So Dread as for Dreadnought guitar, So.
Then another invention you had before we go any further is that one of the first things people do when they grab this is grab the headstock. And you always have the sharp ends of the strings sticking out here. So Jimi came up with this idea of a product called the tuner tips. And these are just little rubber tips that go on over the tuning posts and cover up the sharp end of the strings.
And which is good for any guitar, actually.
Yeah, works on every guitar.
And every single guitar, even nowadays. I mean, I can't tell you, you know how many high E strings have went through my finger when I'm changing? And it's like, it's almost like being
blood test.
shot with a needle, man.
For a guitar player, yeah.
I mean, that 10-gauge string going through my fingers, I bleed like I've been cut with a knife. It's just unbelievable. And it catches you like really off guard when it happens. But so we decided after we got going, started manufacturing these because of my association with Ozzy. At the time, and me becoming friends with Zakk Wylde, I went to we got him good. Greg and I went to an Ozfest, and we're back on on Zakk's tour bus, and
at the time Zakk was using GHS strings.
Yeah,
and we did the signature GHS.
The signature GHS strings. So we're back on his tour bus, and we're telling him about this thing, and. I think we even made like a black label prototype.
We did. I didn't bring one here, but we had. Yeah,
we had like just
DLS.
Nothing that was awesome looking, but just enough to show them what we were doing. And so we're walking to the stage with him to go up, and Greg and I are standing on the stage at the Ozfest with Zakk. So I'm saying, Zakk, wouldn't it be great to go ahead and make a model? I'd really like to make a Zakk Wylde model of this. What do you think? And Zack's like, yeah, man, go ahead, like this. And I turned to Craig, you heard that, right?
Yeah.
You heard him give it, go ahead. So we started making all kinds of different Zakk Wylde models. We had an actual black label model. Then we
the white and blood. These are a couple prototypes we did a few years ago.
Buzzsaws,
yeah. Or the bullseye. The bullseye was it. This is the buzzsaw design, but
we had a bullseye.
We do. Yep. We still do. Yep.
So
the camo bullseye as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we started going after a few people, like my my buddy John Dene, who I actually gave guitar lessons to, but he ended up he's playing guitar with Anthrax, which is a huge band, and of course we went to some other people. And I even believe Jason Becker, right? Did he?
Yep, Jason Becker had a signature model. Yeah.
And when the fact that we offered some bass models, we were very fortunate enough that legendary bass player Billy Sheehan happened to catch his eye.
I gave him one in Frankfurt. I don't know, probably 10 years ago or longer.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I gave him a red one, and he. He's like, oh, thanks a lot, and he just kind of took it, and that was it. And I'm like, literally like 3 years later, I get a phone call from him and says, I've been using this thing a lot, and I really like to get involved. And that's when we started making the signature models based on his colors of the blue and then the black
honestly,
with his signature inlays and things like that.
I mean, you got to think of how cool this thing really is. I mean, I think people, a lot of people don't understand the purpose of it. Like, I take this and I'll pull, the tension of the strings and everything, I'll adjust it to what I like, but I pull on these strings.
For the calluses?
For my calluses, because, like I said, those other tools, that were spring-loaded, they didn't do anything for my hand. This keeps my calluses strong.
And keeps you loose and limber.
Keeps my fingers loose. I do pull-offs on this.
You want them to be strong, but you don't need them to be super strong. You want them to be fluid
and to
move.
The fact that I take this and do pull-offs like this, it's a great exercise. I do forward motion with it. I actually had come up with so many different variations of finger exercises that I could do on this. You're thinking notes in your head, but you're just slapping them on the board.
It's your mind telling your hand what to do.
Yeah, it's great.
And then it becomes muscle memory.
So then we ended up taking, let me take this version right here. Yeah, go ahead, you can take that. We were thinking about a way, what if somebody wants to, kind of pick with this thing a little bit? So we ended up leaving off the very
seventh
close,
fret,
the 7th fret, and cutting out this area so you could actually just hold this thing and practice picking along with it. So
You can even hold it in your lap and just
yeah, just
work on picking, alternate picking, things like that. So
Yeah,
lots of
it's-
different ways.
Also, even this, it's not just this. You want to, keep your practice keeping calluses on these fingers. If you're a multi-finger tapper, then you just go back and forth. This is great. It pops into a suitcase. It pops into everywhere. You're driving in a limousine or something, and you're on your way to a gig.
No problem taking it on an airplane. I've taken
Yeah,
it all over the world, actually.
Yeah, I took mine to Europe, and we're traveling, with House of Lords. I'm in the back with Chris McCarville sitting next to me, and I have mine going. It's going for hours and hours during the traveling, and he's looking at me like he wanted to kill me
done.
because all the clicking noise, But grab the bag. I want to show the people what. So this comes packaged in this beautiful gig bag right here. A nice. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do something right here. Greg, hold this for one
Sure.
sec. I am going to unbox the Jimi Bell model because I do have a model. This is really cool. This is the packaging for it. This is all the models that we offer. Some of these are just so gorgeous. Really. Oh, this is new. I never saw this one.
That's the Mike Orlando
Oh, the
signature.
Mike Orlando.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Hopefully I don't have to fight with the tape. Okay, good. These are my hands right here on the back of the box, demoing on how you're supposed to hold it. I mean, we actually had to make this so clear to people on the box. No, you don't hold it up like this. It goes up. But I see how many people still grab it like that.
Yeah, they still
Remember
do.
at the guitar show, we had the booth. How many
Yep.
people took one off and were holding it like this?
Even though they were all sitting there like this,
Yeah,
they still
and
grabbed
they're
it and
sitting
went
in
like
the
this.
stand.
Yeah.
It's just. Let's see what we got here. I want to see what the. So yeah, I got a nice little case. So they come wrapped like this. Very nice. We'll take off the elastic. And this beautiful wrapping paper here. Yeah, man. So these things come packaged, ready to go like this. Look at that. The Jimi Bell model with the white, with the cross. Ooh. Yeah, I won't even undo the top of it. And this is called the Demon. But yeah, so this is my signature model right here. And it has Jimi, Jimi, right down there in the cross. This is very cool, man. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better partner in this business than you. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you really run the whole thing. It's your, you do the whole thing. You're the one that's the genius behind it. I'm just happy that I had a vision that you saw, that you created all this different stuff, but you didn't stop there. So let's go into some of the other things that Shredneck offers.
Yeah, we did a few more things, and we have some string winders and things like that. That's not super.
Well, no, the string winders are cool because it's not just. Let me get this. Let me see if I can even open this. It's not just a string winder. It's a cutter as well, right? Can I even get this open? There we go. All right, so. But I got to tell you, I've had other ones like this. This is a much more narrower. It's not bulky like some of them. So a lot of these peg winders, when you use them, they're hitting your tuning pegs.
Yep.
This is perfect like this. So we have this, which is also, you
Cut the
could
string
wind up your strings with the tuning, and then we have a wire cutter right here. Click. And this is for your acoustic bridges. Your
bridge pin puller.
Yeah. So a lot of acoustic guitars have pins that hold the string into the bridge. So what we do is we take this. You could go and pop up the pins like this. That's what this is for, right? Yeah. So this is really a wonderful multi-tool. Show them this stuff right here. Oh, this is great.
That's the trem tool.
Now this trem tool is perfect for all guitars with Floyd Rose trems on it. It's great. We got the.
We also make one that works with an Ibanez.
Oh yeah, because they're different.
Yeah, they're different, right?
Yeah. Why? You know, why couldn't things be universal? You know, like one thing, of course. Yeah, so this sticks right to the back of your headstock.
That's 3M tape. It won't leave any residue or anything
No.
like that. No.
And when you need to unlock your Floyd Rose trem, it's those who
quick.
don't know what a Floyd Rose is. It's a tremolo system.
It's quick. It's right there.
Yeah, it keeps the guitar in tune. So you got your 2 Allen wrenches, and what makes this one unique as opposed to Allen wrench, we also have a small Phillips screwdriver for adjusting the height of your pickups, and if you pull it out, because it does pull out, yep, we have a flathead on the other side. So you have either a small flathead and a small Phillips. This is a great tool.
We did that because I've always had problems sometimes with the small and little nuts on a Floyd Rose sticking to the strings. If you clamp them down too tight, sometimes you need to just pry them back a little bit.
Oh yeah.
If you don't have the flathead there, it's hard to do. So that's a nice little feature.
I'll tell you, I've used this. The Phillips one is great for pickup adjustment.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. Like, you know, it's great just to have this. So instead of going, you know, for
Into
a wrench and
and
then pulling out a Phillips head, whatever. Show us this. This is very important.
So this is the trem block, and this is just a tool that you can put underneath your Floyd Rose. So if you have a Floyd Rose guitar with a floating bridge, you just pull down the Floyd, you stick this underneath the Floyd, and it holds it up, so it allows you to change the strings quickly, and it's easier to get to the locking posts. Because normally if you take all the strings off of a Floyd Rose, that bridge would sink down into the body.
Right.
And people say, well, you should only take one string off at a time. I know you do that because you just like to get it into tune a lot faster. When I change strings on a Floyd Rose, I take them all off because I like to clean my fingerboard. I like to polish the frets, take the lemon oil.
You're one of those guys.
I am one of those guys.
I like a dirty fretboard.
I'm
the
meticulous
dirtier, the better.
about the dirtier the better. So I'm very
Listen, before we go any further, I have to tell the people what a Floyd Rose is. Okay, so if I don't, people are saying, well, what the heck's a Floyd Rose? Floyd Rose is a tremolo system. And when I say that, I'm sure you've seen videos of Eddie Van Halen taking a guitar and going, bow, you know, lowering the strings, doing these dive bomb things. That is what a Floyd Rose does. Now, that's not the only purpose of it. I mean, you could pull back with this thing. It's just the most precise tremolo for coming back in perfect tune. And the reason it does that is the Floyd Rose, you cut the ball ends of the strings off. You wind your strings up through the tuning peg normally, and at the very top, instead of a nut across the top, there is a clamp that holds 2 strings at a time. So you have 3 different clamps, and once you get your guitar in tune, you sock down those 3 clamps, and in the back of the Floyd Rose is where you cut all the ball ends of the strings off, and they insert inside a saddle, and you lock the string in. So what's making this guitar stay in perfect tune is the fact there's no give anywhere. You bend the,
Right.
A lot of the times what causes the guitar to go out of tune, like on a stock Fender or something, you bend the bridge down, your windings loosen up around the...
or even sometimes the bridge does not come back to the
it doesn't come back exactly
same position that it was in before.
Or it even gets caught up in the nut, you know.
or
It's
the
like that's why you
springs.
see people graphiting the nut, putting graphite in there and everything. So yeah, the Floyd Rose is a tremolo system that brings the guitar back into perfect tune. This is a tool right here for changing the strings when you do it, because as Greg just said, if you were to remove all the strings off the guitar, it's a pivot. It works off a pivot with 3
counterbalance, actually.
Yeah,
the strings are pulling this way, and the springs are pulling in a different way.
Yeah, you have to tune your guitar to the settings that you like. I have the guitars I use for Autograph and the guitars I use for Beyond Purple. Like one of them is down a full step, the other one's a half step. So I have to actually balance the springs and keep 2 guitars for the Autograph thing, or for Beyond Purple or House of Lords, which is a half step down. You can't just use the same guitar. It's got to be
right.
You set it up purposely for that. But this takes care of this problem when you're changing the strings. It's a great tool, man. Yeah. Greg, I can't thank you enough for being on this show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, man,
Appreciate it.
we go back a long time. I mean, look at there's so much more we could have went into, but you know, we'll do it again. I hope we covered enough for you. But anyways, special thanks to Greg, and this is Jimmy Bell saying thank you for watching. We'll see you again.